When the Avengers ended up spinning off into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then a huge deal that included Netflix, Marvel was pitching the idea of hashtag It's All Connected. At some point, it would all connect and make sense. Unfortunately for the Marvel TV side of things that wasn't touched by Marvel Studios, it doesn't look like that ever mattered. And sure, those shows exist in the multiverse, but let's talk about why Marvel TV, under Jeff Loeb, which includes all the Netflix stuff, The Runaways, Cloak and Dagger, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and a few other shows. Let's talk about why those shows could never deliver what Marvel Studios has delivered with their 3 shows. The idea of the MCU connecting to everything on TV was something that we know they really wanted to make a reality. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. early on did exactly this, but unfortunately, that was met with backlash, because anytime Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would have to wait for something to happen on TV, people would complain that it has to wait for something to happen in the films to reflect on the TV. So instead, they decided to go in a different direction. During that time, they got the Netflix deal going, and they got Hulu, and they of course got spin-offs going, and they got Freeform, and they were developing Hulu content even more, and then everything sort of fizzled out, and it was a one-way street. The TV shows and that universe would acknowledge the films never once acknowledged anything in the TV shows. And this was, 1, for legal reasons, 2, for reasons of what was happening behind the scenes with the conflict within Disney and multiple people calling shots and preventing certain things from happening up until much later. Now, of course, I think most people understood that there can never be something that happens in, let's say, Daredevil, for example, that has such a huge impact on the film side of things that they have to acknowledge it. And we now see why Disney Plus and Marvel Studios have delivered what Marvel TV never could. A true connected universe that matters. A connected universe where if you're tuned out of it, they'll do enough to catch you up on it. But if you watch it, it is important. It's as important as any other piece of content. Going to Doctor Strange 2 without watching WandaVision, you're going to be missing a few pieces of the puzzle. Going to the next Avengers movie or the next appearance of the Winter Soldier or Captain America, you're going to be missing that entire story. You watch Black Widow, but you don't watch the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, down the road you're going to be confused. You don't watch Black Widow, you watch Hawkeye, you're going to be a little bit lost when Yelena shows up. Again, this is how it goes. And we just saw the biggest piece of evidence for why Marvel TV never mattered and why hashtag It's All Connected was never a thing. And that's Loki, which is not a big film. It's not something that's going to theaters, but it is one of the most important pieces of the entire puzzle that is the future of the MCU. Introducing the concepts of how multiple Spider-Men will exist, the multiverse, the Nexus, the time-traveling Kang, Quantumania. It's literally assembling all the pieces, setting the stage for Secret Wars, setting the stage for Deadpool. It's all built up in Loki. And if you miss Loki, they're going to do a fine job catching you up because they make sure of that. But think of how much story you're going to be missing. Think of everything that Kang says about all the other Kangs. And if you go into Doctor Strange 2, or the next Avengers when they're all facing Kang, and you didn't watch Loki, you will be missing a huge piece of the puzzle. Which brings me back to why Marvel Studios and Disney Plus are so important. Because it's a two-way street. They are passing by each other, they're talking, and they acknowledge one another each day. The previous way was one is going one way, the other is going the other way. One acknowledges one, the other doesn't even pay attention to it. And that's unfortunately the sad history of Marvel TV. It's going to be acknowledged at some point they're going to recast it, but it will never really have mattered.